For 10 weeks, COVID ravished my body and made me depend on Jesus. And it started just coming home from work. That night, Carol took me in for a COVID test.
Upon receiving the news of our positive tests, obviously Mike got sick first on a Saturday.
By end of the week, she's getting better. I'm getting worse. My doctor wants me in the hospital. And when we got to the hospital, we did not know whether we would see each other again. I kissed her on the cheek. She had tears coming down. I think I did too. And I felt probably one of the times was the most alone in my life I've ever been.
So he either called me or texted me, I don't remember. About 6-7 hours later, he said, I think they're releasing me, you can come and get me. And I'm just like, oh, are you kidding? I mean, I was happy, but even more nervous. The good thing through this is that Mike could always breathe. So I think that was his only saving grace, not going, being admitted and being put on a ventilator.
They gave me a choice.
Yes.
Because they said, the COVID is in your lungs. There's nothing we can do. You either can go home or you can stay here. And I asked him, I goes, well, what are you going to do? He goes, nothing. We can treat the symptoms. We can't treat the virus. They say by day 10, you either get better or you go severe. Carol got better, I got severe. It's a good thing she did get better because she had to take care of me.
Satan was really attacking me a lot through this, like, you're not qualified to take care of him. And I did have a lot of doubt. And I didn't want to show Mike that because I knew he needed me to be positive, so I just stuffed all those doubts and feelings inside.
The lowest temps I remember was 103.9 for them days and up in the mid to upper 104s. It's kind of like having the flu, the worst flu you ever had, times 10.
I saw him progress and get worse. Again, we had to take his temperature pretty much every couple of hours. Every 4 hours there was Tylenol. I wore out 2 thermometers. I had read a lot and tried to educate myself on what could happen. And I knew by what I read that things could change very quickly towards fatal. The Spirit of God really spoke to me. And he said, Carol, you need to change your prayers. You need to pray, thy will be done. I mean, it's in the Lord's Prayer, don't we say it? Ultimately, I knew God's will no matter what, even if it didn't line up with what I wanted. His will was the best. So I surrendered and I prayed those words, Lord, thy will be done. He was waiting for me to pray that because immediately I just felt all that anxiety and that fear just leave me. It was a huge turning point for me being able to care for him better, but more than anything is I got peace.
On day 7, and the day before I went to the hospital, I'm laying on the couch, staring out the big bay window, and all of a sudden, Jesus is standing in front of me. I know I'm just in awe. I'm speechless. I'm frozen. I can't move. He just looked at me, and I just stared in reverence. He reached out and he took my hand with his nail-scarred hand. He let me feel the scar. He looked me in the eyes and he said, are you ready to come home with me now? I just looked at him and I said, I want to say goodbye to my sons and daughter-in-laws. I want to hug my little grandsons goodbye. And I wanted to kiss my wife goodbye. And I said, I'm ready. At that point, he knew I wasn't ready to go. He was preparing me to use me. If I wasn't going to go, he was going to use me, and that's great.
So at this point, he was sort of over the really bad stuff, and we knew you're gonna survive. I mean, unless he changed and got worse, but I think we could tell he was gonna survive. We had been told by the health department, you have to go 3 days with no fever and no Tylenol. Well, I had no idea that this was gonna last for weeks, this fever. And that's when he started exercising. I was really proud of him because he still had a fever. But after 50 days, the fever finally left for good. The phone rang, and it was his result that he was negative. I remember screaming, wow. And it's like, we just, it was crazy. It was joyful. We thanked God. One thing I know for sure is I'm thankful that we went through this together. I'm thankful that we got COVID because it brought us closer. And we're really thankful for the Lord, even though we had valleys that were so low, we always felt him with us, even though I was scared and I was anxious.
This church was simply amazing.
Yes, it was.
And
And
the way
our-
they took care of us, and the way the prayers and everything they did through this whole ordeal.
Our friends, our co-workers, our family, everybody, I was blown away. I'm not used to that. I'm the person that wants to go take it to someone.
Let me tell you, that puts you at a different level. When you take everything else out of your world. I was so sick, there was nothing else mattered. That just escalated my love and my faith for him. When you can spend 10 weeks with pretty much that's it. I recommend it for everybody. Not the COVID, but go out on the mountainside, in the wilderness, wherever you got to go for 10 weeks and just praise and worship him.